going on, everybody? Welcome to the RBS Cinema Podcast.
I know Kung Fu. Show me.
This is Sparta! I'm thinking I'm back.
Why so serious?
Avengers!
Assemble. I'm Batman.
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
I'll be back.
You shall not pass!
RBS.
Lovely.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of RBS Cinema. I'm your host, Devin. With me, as always, is my co-host, Jack.
Hello.
And I actually, when I was editing the podcast, I realized that we didn't introduce ourselves last week.
Oh, we didn't? Well, we just want to get right into it.
Yeah, we just wanted to talk about Transformers.
So much.
Which, speaking of, go watch the Transformers episode that we did last week. It was actually pretty cool to talk about one of my favorite movies. Also, subsequently, one of your favorite movies, but kind of not really.
It is a guilty pleasure. I will say that much.
Yes. So, but with that also being said, we are talking about Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I also have the comic book. I would have displayed it, but I tried to prop it up on my table and it fell over. So I'm like, I'm not just going to deal with this. So
Yeah, it's a book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even a book. It's a comic book. It's like a magazine.
Well, yeah. Sometimes they stand up on their own.
Sometimes.
Sometimes they do. You just have to display it right. You have to like fold it outward a little bit. But anyhow, yes, thank you all so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys watching, listening, however you guys are doing it. Be sure to also like, subscribe, and as well as follow the show on all social media platforms, being Instagram and TikTok, because I post clips of the episodes on there. If you guys want to do that as well, watch us on those platforms. And be sure to also comment a movie that you guys want us to talk about as well, whether that's your favorite movie, a new movie, a movie that you guys don't really care about but you want us to have our insight on it. Let's discuss.
This is a great resource. Like, again, if there's like a movie that is, I don't really want to bother watching it, so I'm going to make these two guys watch it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're here for.
Right. It's like, hey, I'm not too sure about the new Predator movie that just came out on Hulu. So I want to see some reviews. So, because like I posted the Ballerina review on the channel as well as onto our TikTok and Instagram. So if you guys are not sure about watching Ballerina by this point, now that it's the second week as of recording that it came out, be sure to check it out because I think it was actually pretty good. Did it by myself, so that was actually pretty awkward to do.
Still haven't seen John Wick 3 or 4 yet.
Yeah, but it's on the list.
It is on the list.
Speaking of, this is our summer movie blockbuster block that we are discussing about summer movie blockbusters for June, July, and August. And then by September, we'll talk about other random movies. But this was next on the docket, being Captain America. And it was super, super close to being John Wick Chapter 3.
Yeah.
Which we got that close to getting by a pube. We were getting really close to talking about John Wick Chapter 3. But with that also being said, by the end of the episode, we spin a wheel, and that will actually determine what we're talking about for the following week. And then we will go from there.
Also, it's Flag Day today.
Flag Day today. Well, it's a good thing I got my flag up. It's a Day to Remember flag that I actually bought for Flag Day.
Yeah, and also we're talking about Captain America on Flag Day because he's got the American flag on his.
That's actually that's actually pretty astounding that planned out that way.
Yeah,
but
Flag Day is not.
I don't know.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's just a flag.
I'm just looking at the calendar right now. We have 2 more episodes for things to spin on the wheel. And then once we get to 4th of July, we're actually going to be foregoing the wheel to talk about Independence Day.
Yeah, so that's just a given. It's just what we decided to do because, like, it's the first year I don't know why I said it weird. The first year of the podcast that it's like, okay, well, we'll talk about Independence Day for the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Just say, fuck it, we're going to do that because, I haven't seen it for a little while. Not even a little while, a long while, so since I was a kid.
I've only seen like the last part of it.
Yeah. Which is so funny because sometimes, like, you've seen movies, bits and pieces of.
Yeah.
And I've seen, like, full-length movies, but I just don't remember them. So, but anyhow, let's talk about Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Captain America 2.
The second one.
The second one in the 4 movies. Pretty much, if you guys are not aware, what we'll do is like I'll talk about the bare bones, what the movie's about, talk about the directors, writers, all that boring stuff, who starred in it, and then we will actually have an open up discussion about the movie more in depth. So, with that being said, bare bones of what the movie is about is as Steve Rogers struggles to embrace his role in the modern world, he teams up with a fellow Avenger and S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Black Widow to battle a new threat from history, an assassin known as the Winter Soldier. That is, pretty much the bare bones of what it is.
I feel like that's more in depth as to what the movie is about than like Transformers was.
Yeah, Transformers literally gave us like nothing except for like, oh, there's these like Cybertronian robots that come to Earth and then they fight each other, and it's like,
that tells me nothing.
Yeah.
Which I guess that's a good thing, but because you don't want to like learn too much about what it is just from looking at IMDb. But also at the same time, if you are not interested in watching the movie at all, you need to know what it's about. Then there you go. You look at IMDb.
Yeah, I mean,
correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first. Is this the first Marvel movie we're talking about on the pod, or the first?
Me and you, yes, but it's not the very first Marvel movie that I have talked about on the podcast.
What was the other one?
Think that it. I think it's Deadpool. Because me and Kat talked about Deadpool for Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Because that came out on Valentine's Day. So, like, when it first came out in 2014, so, like 11 years ago.
This is the first MCU, like, film we're talking about. Because at that time, Deadpool wasn't part of the MCU. It was still owned by Fox. But this is the first, like, we're, like, sort of at the beginning of the MCU still.
Yeah, we're in phase 2 as of this movie.
Yeah. So like...
Because, like, it's after Avengers, it's after Iron Man 3, because Iron Man 3 is right after Avengers.
Yeah.
And then I think it's... Because I have them up there. Yeah, because then it's Thor, and then it's Captain America. So
Thor the Dark World.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Which I was actually talking to my wife about, that... which I'll get to later about the reviews, because, like, I was looking at the 1-star reviews last night. And it was funny because I was like talking to my wife, who was very irritated that I like stopped her show that she was watching with her sister, because like her sister came over last night and they were hanging out, and so like my wife wanted to finish her show, and then they were gonna watch like K-pop stuff, like AT's content, and it was funny because like she looked very annoyed. She was like, yeah. Like, obviously, she didn't just say yeah, but, like, having that attitude. And I was just like, I just wanted to talk about this real quick because I just think this is really dumb. And and so she goes like, yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm like, what? She goes like, it wasn't my favorite. I was all like, really? This is like... So, piggybacking off of what I said last week.
This movie, right?
This movie specifically.
Okay, all right.
This is my top 5 favorite Marvel, like, MCU movies of all time. Okay, top 5. I don't know specifically in what order, but it's definitely my top 5 favorite movies. And she goes like, yeah, I didn't really like this one as much. And then we were talking about more specifically of like movies that she just didn't care for. So like Ant-Man, she didn't find that funny, but she also doesn't like comedies either.
I love Ant-Man.
So yeah, Ant-Man I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Second one
the
is
first one. The first one.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah. The first Ant-Man is pretty good.
The Ant-Man movies kind of get worse as they go on.
Yeah,
sort of.
Quantumania wasn't that great. It's not good at all.
It was not good.
So, future reference, that one is a skip. Yeah,
it's a skip.
It's a low tier.
Quantumania is a skip.
Well, it kind of sets up Kane the Conqueror, though.
Who cares?
But
King Conqueror isn't even in MCU anymore.
yeah, that's true because
They
like
axed
they
him.
were supposed to have him as the Kane Dynasty for an Avengers movie, and then they what happened between Jonathan Majors, like they pretty much scrapped that idea and fired him, and then they ended up having Doomsday instead being Doctor Doom,
And the whole thing with Jonathan Majors subsequently ruins Loki as a series, season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because, like,
he
all
was
that
like
was for nothing.
he was like a big pivotal point of the movie, or
Right.
not the movie, the series, the seasons 1 and 2.
Oh man.
So
I'll try not to rant as much, but like I just hate the way that Marvel writes its way into a corner somehow.
Yeah.
With the way with casting.
Oh yeah.
With casting, they just screw themselves over so much by making it so that it's the same person for every single role, and this character has to be a recurring character. So if anything happens to the actor portraying them in any way,
They're
anything
pretty much
controversial, it's like they're screwed basically.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
oh crap, what do we
it's
do? We have to like
ridiculous.
get rid of this whole plot that we spent time developing because this character can't do it anymore, and it wouldn't make sense to recast him.
Right. Well, I mean, like they've recasted people before.
They did it. Okay, they did it like
Twice.
Twice. What was it? What was the second one?
The first one was Terrence Howard being War Machine.
Next time, baby.
Yeah.
So that's the first
did
one,
him to
right?
Don Cheadle. Yes,
Yeah.
I know that.
Rhodey? What? Expect to see you here.
Look, it's me. I'm here to deal with it. Let's move on.
I drop it. All right, I'll drop it.
The second one is Edward Norton. With
Okay, but that doesn't count.
Yes,
That was
it does,
That's at
actually.
the very beginning, though.
so is Terrence Howard. He was at the very beginning. He was literally in the first movie of the MCU, though.
Okay, but they were able to get away with it at the very beginning because it was the very beginning.
Well,
It was
yeah,
between Iron Man 1 and 2, and then the Incredible Hulk, and then the Avengers.
the Avengers. Yeah, so that gave
But
you
what I'm
enough
talking
time
about
to
is-
forget that Edward Norton was the first Hulk in the MCU.
Okay, but that was one film between those two. Loki was 2 seasons.
well, yeah, I know that.
And then they had
And then they also had a full-length movie, but
Wait,
that's
like,
but that still doesn't matter because they still still they changed certain actors.
I know, but like
I
'cause, feel like
it doesn't
the-
work out, or because the studio, or whatever the fact. Because like originally the Hulk is actually owned by Universal Studios, kind of like
dumb.
Spider-Man is owned by Sony.
Yeah.
So and I think it's like between the agreement between those two companies, Disney and them, is like, okay, well, you can have the Hulk, but he can only be in a team-up movie. So like Thor Ragnarok, he's in that movie because it's technically a team-up movie because you have another Avenger, and it's just Thor's solo movie anyway. And same thing for the Avengers. It's a giant team of them, and the Hulk is there because he needs to be there as one of the Avengers. Because he's one of the core
I think
Avengers.
It's stupid that like Marvel just gave away some of their best comic properties to other places. They gave away
Well, I mean,
Spider-Man.
like-
They gave away the Incredible Hulk. They gave away the X-Men.
Well, I mean, like the thing is that
They gave away the Fantastic Four.
Well, yeah, but like the thing is that they were going bankrupt, and that was the reason why. And it wasn't just because of the fact like the whole company, like because they own the distribution rights for or like the licensing or something like that for the movies like before, so like Ghost Rider, X-Men, whatever.
Yeah, they gave
That-
away Ghost Rider too.
Yeah. And then they had those rights to those characters, but the companies like New Line Cinema for Blade, or like 20th Century Fox for like the X-Men or Fantastic Four, they have the distribution rights to actually make the movie, make it happen, and then also like put it out on screens. So they were like the big company that were able to actually make the movie and put it out. But yeah, they were going bankrupt. And that's the reason why that they were like, yeah, we'll sell our rights to these characters. Like Sony gets Spider-Man, 20th Century Fox gets X-Men and Fantastic Four and these other characters. And, you know, all these bunch of other characters go every which way. But now that with, you know, Iron Man and Captain America and
The
Thor.
explosion of the MCU.
Yeah, now all of a sudden, now it's all owned under the same umbrella of Disney, but they still have certain contracts. Like that's the reason why that Deadpool or the X-Men weren't able to be in the MCU specifically
until later.
Yeah, now is because that they still had that contract agreement of being like, well, we still are under 20th Century Fox's X-Men, so we still need to do a certain amount of things or do whatever that we need to do in order to have this part of our contract. And then Disney just goes like, well, we'll just buy you guys out and we'll just make our own stuff. So, which is why we're not even going to see the X-Men for like maybe 5 or 10 years.
Oh my goodness. It's like, ugh.
But, yeah, is that how you feel about it? He looked right at me and he'd be out.
Anyway, mini rant over. I get rants about Marvel for a while.
Oh, 100%. That's the reason why, like, I want to have an actual discussion sometimes after the podcast when we get done with our episodes.
It has to be its own dedicated episode of us ranting about Marvel because it's going to take way too long.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying is like the post show, which is the wrap. So, like, just doing like a 20-30 minute conversation, like little to no editing on my part.
Yeah.
And then just upload it.
Unscripted.
Yeah, it's unscripted. We're not.
Well, it's all
just
unscripted,
ranting.
but like,
yeah.
For the most part.
Hey, thanks. Shout out to the writer being me. Thanks, future me.
What about me?
Well, you also co-write.
Yeah.
So.
Say.
Shout out to future Jack for co-writing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right, can we talk about this film now?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, enough ranted about the Marvel
15
movies.
15 minutes
of ranting about the Marvel movies.
Ugh.
Okay, so continuing on with the discussion of the movie specifically, we have directors, the Russo brothers, Anthony Joe Russo, who also went on to do both Infinity War and Endgame for the Avengers, which is great. Then we also have writers Christopher Marcus, Stephen McFeely, and Joe Simon. Only got a few writers there. And it only was nominated for 1 Oscar. And it has 5 wins for stuff, I guess. Let's see. Best Visual Effects was the winner. And Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. So we got Scarlett Johansson. That was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Got, of course, Chris Evans as Best Actor. Best Supporting Actor was Samuel L. Jackson. Another Best Supporting was Anthony Mackie, and Best Writer was Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. I just wanted to point those out because I never realized that. Going into cast, okay, so we got, of course, Chris Evans as Captain America, Steve Rogers, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Robert Redford as Alexander Pierce. Of course, we got Bucky Barnes / the Winter Soldier as Sebastian Stan. Got Anthony Mackie as Falcon / Sam Wilson, who then goes on to play Captain America later on. I got Kobe Smulders returning as Maria Hill, and Frank Grillo as Brock Rumlow, who also turns into Crossbones.
Crossbones, yes.
So,
and then they kill him.
Yeah, they kill him in Civil War. So
don't you just love it when a villain is like introduced in like a previous film, and then the next film
sets him up, and then he instantly gets killed.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Taskmaster in
Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Thunderbolts.
Which, spoiler for Thunderbolts, because like I think it's really dumb that Taskmaster just gets killed off super easily. I'm just like, really?
Wasted potential. It's like,
oh yeah, 100%. Like Taskmaster is a really good, like, I don't know, like anti-hero.
Yeah, like,
but basically like
a good villain.
Yeah,
like that's the thing that kind of bugs me about certain Marvel films is like they just kill off villains.
Yeah,
Iron Man does this a lot. Even the first Iron Man, they killed off Ironmonger.
Time to hit the button!
Yeah.
And they killed off Whiplash in the second film. It's like,
and Aldrich Killian in the third one.
Jarvis, do me a favor and blow Mark 42.
Why not just keep those villains around for later, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, it's kind of like with Loki. Loki's like the big baddie of the Avengers movie, and he's been in pretty much 95% of the MCU. Well, not 95% of it, maybe like 40%. I don't know.
Loki is the only one who consistently is able to stay alive.
Right. Well, except for in Infinity War, but then he's back in his own series too,
Right.
in Endgame, and in Enemy.
Rumlow was interesting as Crossbones in
Yeah.
Civil War, and he's good in this film as well.
I love Frank Grillo. Like, he's a great actor. Like,
Yeah.
I saw when it first came out. I can't remember what the hell it is off the top of my head, but it's this movie where he keeps dying over and over again, and he keeps waking up. It's like Groundhog situation.
Oh,
So it's on Hulu. I can't remember what it's called. I'll probably look it up. But any horror. I only got one tagline for this movie, which is
what?
very interesting. Yeah.
There's only one tagline.
There's only one tagline
for a Marvel film.
Yep.
Interesting.
And it's just "In Heroes We Trust."
That sucks.
That's it.
That's terrible.
And that is that's what it is. Boss level. So I was looking through his IMDb. It's boss level. It's on Hulu. It's actually really good.
All right.
I really enjoyed it. If I could have bought it, I would have bought it. So couldn't even buy it on digital because it's on Hulu, which is very interesting. I'll say this and then I'll shut the hell up and we'll talk more about the movie. Was that they had Prey, like one of the Predator movies that came out on Hulu like a few years ago, and like now you're able to actually buy it on digital and like Blu-ray and stuff. So it's all like interesting, and it's kind of like the Stranger Things like thing for Netflix, where you're able to like go and buy them like as like the seasons. And it's interesting because I think that we have it, or maybe my sister-in-law has it, I don't know, but like she either we have it or she has it, where there's a VHS tape of the first season, and I'm like, that's cool. So, or maybe that's just how the DVD is, so I don't know. But I think that's actually a really cool gimmick for people
It's
that
cool,
actually
but,
buy
like,
physical media.
You're gonna watch it on like an old CRT. You're gonna watch the first episode.
Well, I mean, like, you don't have to watch it on a CRT because they still have VCRs that will hook up to your TV, like your flat screen and stuff.
Yeah, but like, is it all just like the whole season, like all in one shot? Because it's a VCR, you can't.
That I
it's
have
not
no
like a CD
idea.
that has a main menu that you can select. So like, imagine if you want to just watch a specific episode in that season. Now
Yeah,
you
you
have
gotta
to fast forward.
I don't know.
Physically, like actually fast forward, like the physical VHS to be able to get to the point where you want. That just seems really dumb to me. I get it. It's like,
well,
it's a
like I
cool,
said, I
like,
don't know if it's like the DVD
80s
box
nostalgia,
or,
but like,
or what. But
it seems very impractical. There's a reason we don't use VHS anymore.
yeah,
You know,
it's obsolete. But
we're getting off topic again.
any horror, talking about more about the movie.
I'm looking at Devin's notes right here, and
There's not a lot, honestly.
There's not a lot. That seems like quite a wall of text you have there.
You didn't. Did you not see the wall of text that I had for Transformers? I
did.
way more. We literally talked about
that
the
still
whole
seems
fucking
like
movie.
a lot, though. Like,
I mean, it's bits and pieces throughout the whole movie, but it's like there's big, huge gaps that I just didn't really like about the
well, I
movie
mean, like a
specifically,
lot of this
or I just
movie
didn't
is
care
like
about.
action sequences that take up a lot of the runtime.
Yeah, it's
like,
really
don't-
fucking cool.
Like,
But no,
believe-
the first thing. Okay, hold on.
sorry, before we go on, like this is kind of weird because this is the first like movie that we've been sort of reviewing that is a sequel.
Yes,
Right? We're not
it's a sequel.
so,
It's
like,
not the first movie.
There's already been pre-established events before the start of this film.
Yeah.
because we're running right in the middle of like
Yeah.
phase 2 of the MCU.
Oh yeah,
And,
we're in the middle of it.
Like, I don't think we should like we don't want to insult people's intelligence by like recapping all the events of what's happened so far in the MCU. That just seems pointless.
It is pointless. I wasn't even going to say anything about
This movie's been
the
out
events
for
that happened.
a long time.
All
and
11 years.
If you're
2014.
Let's be honest. If you're watching this episode, then you've probably already seen the movie, or you've seen like like you know about the MCU already. Like who doesn't know about the MCU already?
I mean, the biggest thing that, like, I'll say this and then we'll actually talk about the movie. The biggest thing that people are deteriorating against, like, watching a lot of these movies is because, like, there's too many, and, like, you also have to watch the series, like the shows, and, like, you kind of have to get caught up. So it's, like, a lot to take in.
It's like having to do your homework. That's what someone should do. Like, here you go. Here's an idea for a YouTube channel or whatever. You just create short, like 3-minute videos that catch people up on what the things they should know are a thing when they're going into the most recent MCU film or property or show.
Yeah,
right?
there are people that do that.
Are there people that do that?
Yeah.
But, like, is it, like, short and sweet, like, okay, I'm about to go watch, like, let's, for example, like, Captain America Brave New World. Who are all these characters? What do I need to know? Like, what's the backstory going into it? And then they just make a video that's like 3 minutes. Like, okay, here's this guy, guy. Here's what happened. Here's why this is important. Blah 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 blah. Here's what this is. Here's what the Celestial is.
Yeah.
You know, and why that's important. So you don't have to watch all these films.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what they do.
That's
they
what people
literally
need.
yeah that's literally what people do on the internet.
Okay.
They also will talk about, like, more of the comic book stuff too. Well, some people do. I've never really sat down and watched any of this, but, like, that's what some people will do about, like, hey, like, you know, gear up to watch this new Marvel movie. Here's all the backstory that you need between these characters and all this bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So that way that you don't have to. And it's also the thing of being like, where you can flip it and also talk about the comic book side to it as well. Of going like, yeah, so, like, in this movie, like, this is what the, like, go and read Captain America, like, fucking issue whatever, and that way that you get more in-depth conversation about the comic book specifically, about the story. Kind of like with this movie being Winter Soldier, I actually watched the movie before I got more into the comics, but then I started reading comics as evident of my bookshelf, and I actually read this and I was like, I really like the story. We first open up, I'm not going to talk about, like, the movie specifically, but, like, going from beginning to end.
Yeah.
But first part of it is just Sam just running, like,
This is
Washington.
This is a funny scene. I like this.
And they actually keep it going because it's just like Cap is just, like, running right beside him, like, sprinting literally, and just, like, on your left. And he does it like 3 times. The second time, Sam goes like, yep, on my left, got it.
A lot of
and then the third
foreshadowing in
time,
this film.
and then the third time he sees him coming. He goes like, don't you say it, don't you say it. He goes like, on your left. He goes like, come on. And he just runs a little bit harder, and then, like, he almost passes out.
Don't say it. Don't you say it. Left. Come on.
Which is hilarious because I saw this video of Anthony Mackie talking about that scene specifically in an interview, and he goes like, he doesn't run that fast. Like, he doesn't. Like, like, Chris does not run that fast. So,
well, yeah,
like,
obviously.
they sped him up.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't even think it was that. I think it was just because of the fact that he actually just, like, okay, you're going to sprint as hard as you can and just do that.
Yeah.
That's probably what, and, like, that I think that was mostly a joke. Like, oh, they sped him up. So
you can't really tell, though.
what is my cat doing right now, dude? I don't understand. Like, he was hopping around like this.
They did a good job of, like, make it not very obvious. Like, it looks very natural. Like, he's just, like, running really, 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 really fast.
Oh yeah, like, that's what I really liked about it too.
They could have made it, like, super, like, obvious, like, you know, like how I like, it's almost cartoonish how much, like, they do it in, like, the Flash.
Yeah,
They make the Flash run very fast. But it's like Captain America's not the Flash. He's not, like, he doesn't run at super speeds. He just has very strong.
yeah,
You know, strong. If you're just more naturally strong, then you have more strength to be able to move your legs, push yourself further more. So I'm glad that they did it a little bit more naturally like that, because they could have definitely used more, like, CGI. They could have exaggerated a little bit more. If this was maybe later phases of the MCU, I could see them, like, sort of doing it that. But, like, this way it looked a little bit more practical, even though it was fake. But.
yeah. And then after that, I also wanted to point out Steve's notebook that he has.
Yes.
So, of stuff that he needs to catch up on, because he goes like, oh yeah, like, Sam suggests that
Marvin
he
Gaye,
listens.
Trouble Man
Yeah,
soundtrack.
he listens to the soundtrack, And he goes like, I'll add it to the list. And so like he writes it down. And reason being that I'm pointing this out is because that there are different versions in the world that like they, of course, like, you know, they streamline it like the movie in different parts. Every single like place that it was showing at had different versions of the Notebook.
Really?
Yeah. So I actually have a list of it pulled up.
Like,
not
are you
the
talking about
whole
countries
list.
or
Countries.
Oh, okay.
So because like I'm not going down the whole list of stuff that he has to like keep on track of, but like obviously there's the US and Canada, they're both the same. It's different in the UK and Ireland, because like they're and it's kind of like us in Canada, it's the same thing, but like it's different items that it has on the list. It's kind of like that with Vin Diesel. He said I am Groot in all of the different like languages, but he's just saying I am Groot, that's it.
Okay.
So but it's really interesting because like it's big, huge pivotal points of that things that happen in the world that have changed since World War II when he went under. So because then there's also South Korea, Spain, Hispanic America, Italy, Australia and New Zealand, Russia, France, Brazil and Germany. So it's just a list of things that he has in his notebook, and depending on which version that you are watching, it has different items on that list. So
they're localized to the region that they're in.
yeah.
But like, why would you go through the effort of doing all of that if it's about if it's set in America, if it's in the United States,
Yeah.
right? Why wouldn't you just keep it the stuff that happened in the United States? I guess like to like as a little bit of a treat to people who are watching internationally. It seems kind of weird to me.
Well,
like it's cool, but like, why would Captain America be thinking about things that happened in like Germany or the UK?
Well,
Or like
okay. If you want, we can make it super quick. We can just rapid fire.
We don't have to do that.
No, not all of them. Just the ones that you're curious about.
I don't really care too much.
Okay, because like I said, they're all the same. Some of them are some of them are the same. Like they have the same thing on the list. There's certain things that are different. Like I think looking at it at a glance, it's all like, yeah, pretty much. It's like Star Wars, Nirvana, Rocky, and Trouble Man are the same throughout the whole list, like regardless of what it is. So like those are things that are consistent, and like there's just certain things that are like different. Like the first part of the list is different, the last part of it is the same.
If I remember to look at this, I can look at this later, but like
yeah, I mean honestly,
interesting bit of trivia though.
Interesting, but not really warranted to dive deep into it.
Yeah.
Next thing that I really liked was Cap's stealth suit in the beginning of when they're in taking down that boat. So with what's his name, Baltro, I think that's his name. Batroc. Yeah.
French.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually Algerian, but speaks French.
Yeah. But
Pirates are French.
Which interesting fact is that he was actually a UFC fighter. The guy that they got to play as him.
Well,
he's a UFC fighter.
Yeah, they probably wanted.
So, I also wanted to point out that, in an interview for this movie, Chris Evans was talking about like, well, he got asked like, you guys switched up the combat of how Steve fights in the movie and stuff, which is really freaking awesome. I had to make sure I didn't mute my mic again on accident because I touched my face. And he goes like, yeah, like we wanted to make it a little bit different than the first one when he's just like punching and kicking people.
Yeah.
Because this time he's like in more modern day, so he has a lot more combat specialist and stuff. So he said that we wanted it to make it feel like the video game, because like you know about this, right? That they have the Marvel first phase of movies into video games.
Yeah, because I remember like Iron Man 2 was like a big.
Yeah, they had Iron Man 1 and 2, the Hulk, which was just a reskin of Ultimate Destruction.
Okay.
So, they just slapped the Marvel movie skin on it, and that's it, instead of having it like just a traditional Hulk game. But they also had Thor and then Captain America. Those are the only like 5 that they had. Other than that, they of course like made the Avengers game, but that one was just like its own thing. It wasn't part of the MCU.
Yeah.
It wasn't a movie tie-in game. But
And that was much later, right?
yeah, that was much later.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
like recent.
Yeah.
So
It was bad.
from like
It
a
was
few
not a
years
good
ago.
game.
It wasn't. It was trash. Story interesting, gameplay sucks. But he was talking about how that they wanted to make it more about like the video game combat. Like you watch it and you're like, it literally feels like it's a video game when he fights.
The fight choreography in this movie is very it's very well thought out.
Oh yeah.
You can definitely tell that when he fights Bucky later in the film, like before he takes off the mask.
Yeah.
Right? The knife work and like
Yeah, I have that written down
the
too.
different like things to block. Like the one thing that kind of bugs me about the way that Cap fights, that Steve like fights other guys, is that like if he's a super soldier, shouldn't he be knocking people around because he's so strong? You know, if he's got this shield, right, that's like vibranium,
Yeah.
and he's be able to put some force behind it, shouldn't he be just like tossing people around? Because like Red Guardian kind of does that.
Yeah.
Like they made Red Guardian like super strong. Like so shouldn't like Steve not be having this much trouble with just like a normal guy?
Well,
You know?
I'm glad that you brought that up, because next thing that I have up on my list of stuff, besides this line that between Cap and Black Widow on the helicarrier,
Yeah.
or not the helicarrier, the Quinjet, where they're bantering, and she's throughout the whole movie she's trying to set up a date for him, and
Which is kind of weird.
yeah, I was gonna say it is a little weird that she just keeps going like, well, what about this girl? What about that girl? Blah blah blah. And she's trying to set him up with girls that they like pretty much like work with at the ship headquarters.
It's very strange.
But he jumps out of the Quinjet, and then one of the guys goes to Rumlow and goes like, was he wearing a parachute? And he goes like, no, he wasn't.
Yeah,
and I'm just
and,
like, that shit goes so hard.
He wasn't wearing
And
a
he goes
parachute,
into choppy water too.
and he dives feet first, and it's like if
Crosses his arms, feet first, boom,
Like,
just like
that
lands in the
is-
water, and then climbs up the anchor.
Cap jumps off so many things in this movie where it's like that would kill a guy.
Yeah. Well, even in the first like Avengers movie, he jumps out of the Quinjet, but he has a parachute. But it's only because of the fact that he's landing on hard ground. Obviously, if he's not invincible, so
And
he
again,
can't just like land and just be like, yeah, I'm fine. So
And isn't like okay, think about his shield again, vibranium.
Yeah.
Isn't it supposed to like be shock absorbent? Right? So like I thought the idea of vibranium was like he can land on it and it takes all of the force away from the fall. So it's
Yeah.
not like he basically
he doesn't absorb the force. The shield absorbs it for him.
I know he does like so wouldn't it have made sense for him to dive head first with the shield?
No.
No?
I think it would smack him in the freaking head and just knock him
Well,
out.
not if he braces himself, you know. But like,
No, it's a lot easier, especially when you dive into like from a very high feet of water that you're supposed to shoot down like that.
yeah,
You're not supposed to go head first, because otherwise like you'll break your neck.
break it. But like, he
So-
would break his legs. I feel like the
Well-
super soldier doesn't protect you from falling into choppy water. You know.
Well, apparently
From,
for
like,
Steve Rogers.
like the mechanics of Captain America are always so bizarre to me. Like a lot of it doesn't really make sense to me sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he loses a lot of his fights, Captain America, later on.
Well, yeah.
But like, it's like it, especially when it comes to like Sam Wilson as Captain America.
Yeah.
Like
He's
what
just a
is
guy.
He's just a guy. Like, what
Nothing
is
special
Captain
about him, he's
America
just a
supposed
guy.
to do against like a lot of these bigger guys? You know.
Right.
Like he's responsible for taking out the jobbers, and yeah, like this movie is certainly a more of a spy like themed like you
Yeah,
know,
and that's why I liked this one versus the other ones too. Is like this one is actually a really good like spy thriller.
It's very grounded, you
Yeah.
know. Like there's a lot of like realism in this film,
Yeah.
except
but-
for the way that they portray Captain America's abilities.
Yeah. Well, to further going on with the thing that you had about like, oh, like wouldn't he have just like smacked a guy and he'd go flying?
Yeah.
When he gets up on the boat deck, he is running around. He's like beating all these guys up.
Yeah.
And like he initially like runs up to one guy that's off to the side and just like Spartan kicks him right off the freaking side of the boat. And I'm just like, he's dead. He's just straight up dead.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, like
he's
like
not
Captain
just
America
like, oh, I'm hurt. Like, no, he's straight up dead. He literally Spartan kicks him full force. He goes knocked into the freaking side of the metal and falls off. Like, no, you're dead. Like,
Yeah.
even if you survive that, being kicked and then hit off the side of the boat, you're freaking gonna drown. Okay?
Well,
because
yeah.
now you're in the water.
I mean,
So-
Captain America is no stranger to killing people. You know, he killed so many people in the first film.
Oh, yeah.
The Avengers kill people all the time. You know how many people that Tony Stark has killed? Like,
I know.
Tony Stark is you know.
But also the other thing too, speaking of killing people, when he goes to actually like take on
Batroc?
Batroc, he literally, you see him run up, throw the shield, and then he gets stuck in the wall. And I'm like, dude, he meant to kill him. There's no way that he just goes like, yeah, I'm just gonna like lightly throw my shield and it's gonna knock him out. No, that is gonna literally decapitate him.
That's what I was saying. There's a lot of inconsistency because it's like when Captain America throws a shield
Like-
at most people, it just bonks on them.
And
they
the
just
other
fall
thing,
over.
and-
But
yeah,
like,
and then the other thing too is the fact that like he put force behind it for one, right? And then two, it's all like he wouldn't have known that he would have had the reflexes to actually duck down fast enough, because when he throws it, it hits through the window and it breaks, and then he only has a split-second decision after that to duck down.
yeah.
Because otherwise he's dead. So that's the other thing
It's
too.
like again. The question is, how strong is Captain America actually?
I think that
we need
well,
to-
he has like 9 super soldier serums in him. He doesn't have the 10th one because like it didn't take. So because I think that they were originally going to have 10, but he only ended up with 9. If I remember correctly, of how they got the soldier serum in him in the first one. It's been forever since I've seen that one.
I don't
but
remember anything about 9 or 10. I thought they just like injected
because
him
like
and
I
it was
remember that one of the Hydra like agents like took one of them to bring to.
I
Red
thought,
Skull.
but like that wasn't. I think that was just a spare one, though, right? It wasn't like supposed to go in him, though. I think that was just,
Well,
like,
why would they
like
make a spare though?
I don't know.
So that's my question.
This-
Like,
a
if
lot
you're
of this doesn't
proposing
really
this
make
question, why would they have a spare though?
I just don't remember them saying like, "Oh, they were supposed to give him 10. There's only 9," you know, because one of them got taken. I just like, I don't know.
I don't know. They ended up with 1 extra. One of the things that I thought was like sad was like later on in the movie when he goes to see Peggy because he's at
Yeah.
the museum
Ooh,
and he
that
sees
is-
himself like seeing all the like the stuff that him and his buddies did in World War II.
Yeah.
And he goes to her to talk to her and everything, and they're talking about like how Steve accepts the fact that she moved on with her life.
She literally says that,
And-
like, Steve saved, like, I'm able to save the. Like,
I
took
was
down a
able to
Hydra base
actually
that-
have a family because of him.
Like, he
essentially.
took down a Hydra base, and that actually helped save the man who eventually became my husband. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
And so she even said like, oh, even with him not being here, he still finds a way to like
impact her life.
impact my life. And she's all old now, and she's like talking to him, and then she starts to cough, and then he like turns around, grabs a glass of water, comes back, and then so she like opens her eyes and then sees him, and then she goes like, oh my god, Steve, like you're alive.
You're alive.
And it's all like, oh fuck, she has
dementia.
Alzheimer's.
She has or Alzheimer's or dementia. Or,
Yeah, I mostly think it's Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it's probably yeah.
Because like dementia is just like, I don't know where I'm at right now. Because like I feel like dementia is just like you go in and out of consciousness and you forget. And stuff. Alzheimer's, you just completely forget things that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was kind of sad. And then he also was going to cry, and he just was like, well, can't give up on my best girl. Like, still got to dance. So
Yeah.
So yeah, sad stuff. But another cool thing that I wanted to point out was like the World Council holograms.
Yeah.
So when what's his face? Drawing a blank on his name. Pierce, he's talking to the World Council, and they're not in the chairs, but it looks like that they are in the chairs.
There's just chairs in up in this big room, and it's like they only exist there to like project the holograms onto them. It's just like
it goes from like floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's just like a hologram like screen that's around the chair, and like it just shows them, and I'm like, that's actually pretty cool. What the heck is he doing
I feel like
over there,
we're missing
man?
over a couple of details here. Or we're just not going to go down the plot. We're just going to like list things that you thought.
Well, I mean, like for one, this movie's been out for like 11 years.
Okay.
Everybody's if you haven't seen it now, then you'll never watch it. So, but next big huge action sequence that I really liked was the fact that Nick Fury got pinned by the cops and having that whole chase sequence.
A pin maneuver,
Because like they open it up with him talking to I think it was Maria Hill, and he goes like, hey, I need you here in DC, like I need you by my side, and she goes like, all right, I'll be there in 4 hours. He goes like, well, now you got three. And so like he's at a stoplight, and then there's cops next to him. They're just staring at him, and he goes like, you want to see my lease? Which I thought was funny. And then they like flip up the lights and sirens, and then they leave.
Oh, it looks like they leave.
And then there's another squad car that slams into the back of him.
Basically. And
then and like that whole sequence is awesome, because then he gets his shit rocked, and they're trying to get into the car to pull him out to kill him, pretty much. And just the fact that he's smart enough to also be like, okay, well, they're setting something up to like a battering ram to like smash into the window, because they know it's protected and stuff too.
Yeah, because so he waits to the very last second, like to the window.
Yeah,
is like
and he just goes
integrity.
like, yeah, and he just goes like, the car system is telling him like, oh, like it's at whatever percentage of integrity, like I can get you out, and he goes like, no, hold that order. And so like it goes down to like another certain percentage, and it's all like, now it's down to 1%. He goes like, now, like, oh, it's trying to display countermeasures. That's what it is. And then from the middle console comes like a small turret, and he just blasts all these freaking like Hydra agents that are dressed as cops.
Window integrity 1%.
Now!
And I'm just like, that's freaking cool. And he goes like, get me the hell out of here, and take me off the grid. And this whole sequence is just awesome, because he's like bumping into cars and like trying to take out the people that are after him. And also like there's a couple that are on foot that he takes out as well. And then he finally gets clear. And then, what did you know, there's the Winter Soldier. He's just standing there in the middle of the road, very intimidating, like, and just like has a gun, shoots, goes underneath the car, like flies up to the bottom of the SUV and like
Flips
explodes and then flips. It's such a cool sequence of things that happen. And then also the fact that because then I also wrote down like Bucky takes out Fury, and then we also have where Cap goes after Bucky for the first time. Yeah, because Fury gets away, and this
is so dumb. Like, car flips over, right?
Yeah,
Fury has a broken arm that he is like put basically a stem into,
right,
to like
help with the pain and stuff.
With the pain. So he has a broken arm.
Yeah,
and then like miraculously he is able to cut out a hole at the top of the thing, and there's a manhole.
No, it's not a manhole.
What?
No, he just cuts through the concrete, which is even weirder.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's comics.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's like, a comic book movie. It doesn't need to make sense.
Like, of course, like they just like, there's no way that he would have been able to get out of there. Like, that just seems really dumb to me. So he's able to escape, and then he hides in
Cat's house. Apartment.
But before he goes in there, he meets his neighbor Sharon, who is a nurse who Natasha tries to put him up with. It's just like, if you want, you put your laundry in my machine. It's like, I don't think you want my I think I might take you up on that. It's like, what would it cost you? It's like a date.
Yeah, cup of coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's like,
but
in the infectious disease ward.
Yeah, and then he.
It's like, I think.
Oh yeah,
and then
she left her stereo on. And he goes like, "Oh, cool, thanks." And then he walks in, and it's
1940s movies like music.
Yeah,
like,
and because it's Fury, and he just goes like, "Hey, I don't want you to freak out. Like I'm actually here in your apartment." But he grabs the shield because it's off to the side of the door.
Yeah,
and
so
he's just like, "Oh, okay." So he drops his guard,
like,
and Fury's just sitting there, and he just goes like, they start talking, and he turns on the light, and then Fury turns it off because he's all like beaten up, and he just goes like,
My wife kicked me out.
Yeah, and he has the phone that he just keeps saying that like, yeah, there's eyes and ears everywhere.
I love that, like, that spy thing where they're saying one thing, but then they hold up like a note that says like shut up.
Yeah,
like
it goes like they're listening, whatever.
Yeah,
and then he gets shot through the wall, which is awesome.
I'm like, oh my god, like.
And then she comes in, and turns out that she's Agent 13, and like that's basically what her name is. Let me see what her actual name is.
Sharon. It's Sharon.
Yeah, Sharon. So Agent 13, Sharon, she comes in and goes like, "Oh, like I'm here to help," and like even he says like, "Don't trust anybody."
Yeah.
When he gives him the flash drive.
And then immediately after it says that, she comes in with a gun and is like, this is the point where she comes in and kills him, right?
Yeah. And then she goes like, "Yeah, I'm under his orders to come
protect you."
Yeah, to protect Steve. And he goes, and so he overhears on the radio going like, "Oh, like, do you have the person apprehended?" And he goes like, "Tell him I'm in pursuit."
Yeah.
And like he runs out of the building across the way to another building. And just the fact of him running through the office building, like
with his shield,
and
it's super
he jumps.
inconsistent.
Well, not that he jumps, he runs into a corner and like stops himself with the shield.
But he's
like,
able to
really
smash
cool.
through doors using his shield. Is like,
because the wall is enforced, the door isn't enforced by anything except for the hinges. So he's able to bash through the doors and stuff like super easily because it's that thick of wood.
But no, there's like metal in the middle of it though. It's not what I don't know. I just feel like
I don't know. Again, it's comics logic. You're fighting against a comic book movie, Jack.
I don't know.
You're trying to make logic seem logical in a comic book movie, and it's not.
I just want it to be consistent. All right. No. It doesn't like sure he can bash through doors, but like he also has to be able to like launch a guy across a room by hitting him with a shield. All right.
Well, yeah, that's what he's done several times throughout the course of this movie. But anyhow, pushing forward, getting to the cool part where he jumps out of the window and on the roof,
tosses
and then
the shield at him,
and then he rolls. I just think this is really cool. So he jumps out of the window, lands, rolls, immediately throws the shield at him, and then the Winter Soldier catches it with his metal arm.
That was in the.
That is so cool.
That was a shot in the trailer.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of thing is like, whoa, that's
nobody's ever done that before.
Like back then, that was impressive to be able to catch your Captain America shield, and then later
which
on,
also happens in the comic too. And then also the fact that like you hear his arm winding up, and then he throws it even harder at him, and then like Steve catches it too, but he just gets pushed back because of the force. And then he's gone.
And
so
because it was impressive that somebody was able to catch Captain America's shield, and
for the force that he throws it at,
and then later on,
one-handed too. No flinch, one-handed, no pushback, no nothing.
And then Infinity War, Thanos just breaks the shield and is just like, oh, okay, this movie is just a...
No, that's an Endgame.
It was an Endgame?
Yeah.
Oh.
Infinity War, he doesn't have the shield.
Oh. What happened to his shield?
Well, at the end of Civil War, he drops it.
Oh, he
drops it. Iron Man has it.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Because he goes like, "My father gave you that shield. It's not yours." And he goes like, "Fine," and drops it and just walks away.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So that was like the last thing that he had to ask Captain America was his shield. So, and then he was on the run for however long.
I just wanted to highlight just like at this point in the MCU at Phase 2, like it was unthinkable that anyone would be able to stop Captain America's shield when he threw it. You know.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That was the point of that establishment. So it was really cool to see that in the trailer, and it was like, oh, that's that's like a good incentive for us to go see the movie. It's like, oh, who's strong enough to be able to?
Who is this Winter Soldier?
And it was a little bit of a teaser, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know
who he was, what was going on.
It was just cool.
Yeah.
There was no spoilers.
No.
You know?
And that's how it should have been from that point on.
Right.
But no, it's just like, hey, you guys are excited to see Fantastic Four, right? Well, guess what? Here's Galactus. Or it's all like, oh, you guys are excited about like this person, like Harrison Ford being in the new Captain America. Guess what? He's the Red Hulk.
Guess what? He's the Red Hulk. And guess what? We're not even going to show him in the trailers. We're going to put him on the promotional art.
Yeah.
We're going to put him on the posters and stuff like that. The red, so you know, even before you go to see this movie,
you know that the Red Hulk is in this. You're just like, when is he coming in? Where's the Red Hulk?
It's like, yeah, it's like I don't care about the rest of this stuff that's right now. I'm waiting for the Red Hulk to show up at the very end of this movie.
I mean, what they could have done was just have the Red Hulk there and not have Harrison Ford be there. Well, transform, I should say.
I swear,
So-
this episode is going to be just like half rant, half film analysis.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's just a Frankenstein's monster of just an amalgamation of things. 'Cause
Yeah, which again, like, you always just leave afterwards, and I'm like, do you want to discuss more about this? You're like, no, I'm good. So, but no, like I said, if you want to sit down after we get done recording this episode, we can talk more in depth about ranting about Marvel stuff in a different episode.
we should save it for another episode, I feel like.
Well, yeah, it is going to be another episode.
Okay, all right.
Not in this episode,
Okay,
Jack.
all right.
I just told you this like 3-4 times.
Listen, man, we're an hour
Like-
into this pod, and we're not even like halfway through this film.
Actually, we are after this. So, biggest thing that I fucking loved about this movie was the elevator fight scene. Gets me so hyped every time.
That is a very good scene.
Because, like, you have Cap where he's just in the elevator by himself, and then slowly, like, more and more guys start showing up. Like, it's Romolo and some other guy. They're like, hey, like, we're going to this place. Elevator goes like, gotcha. And then they start moving and then go to another floor. And then, like, there's these other no-name agents that come in. They're like, hey, we need to go to this place. Okay, stop at another flight of stairs. I don't know why my brain went there, but, like, stop at another floor. And then more guys show up. And then Cap starts looking around. He's literally directly in the middle of the elevator. Got all these guys surrounding him. And he's looking around and he notices one guy off to the side has a bead of sweat coming down. He goes like, why is he sweating if it's not hot in here? Nobody else is sweating. Well, not that I'm aware of. But also, when Romolo and the other guy get on, he notices that the other guy is holding his gun.
Yeah.
Like, it's not unholstered, but he's just holding onto it.
Yeah.
And he goes like, something doesn't add up here. And then all these guys get on, and he looks around and just goes like, all right, I know what's going on here. And then you see the realization in his face, and he just goes like, before we get started, does anyone want to get off?
Yeah.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And like,
That's a
I'm just
hard
like,
line.
oh, fuck, dude. Like, it's so hard. It goes so fucking hard. Like, that's my favorite part of this whole movie is just the elevator scene. Like,
The
that's
scene was
it.
so good that they had to recreate it in Endgame.
Yeah, in Endgame, and then even then, it's like, before anything happens, he just goes like, Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
Because it's like, during that part of like the Avengers, of before the Winter Soldier stuff goes off the rails.
Yeah.
So, but with that being said, literally, Romolo just like starts like trying to get at him, and like they all try to like get him and stuff. I really like the fact that with the briefcase that they were holding, like the handle, they take it out, and it's actually just like magnetic like handcuffs.
Yeah.
So, and like basically Cap just like the first thing that they do is like take a shield. They stop the elevator, take a shield, and it's just like, now what are you gonna do? It's like, and they don't understand he's a hand-to-hand combat specialist now. Well, he's better at hand-to-hand combat.
He's been trained now.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
I'm sure he got like a ton of training when he got out, like frozen from the ice. Probably the
Right.
shield just.
But
gave
I
him a
mean,
bunch
like,
of,
it's
hand-to-hand combat.
well, it's
training.
kind of like with help me out with his name again. Boltrack.
Batroc?
Yeah, Batroc. He even when they were gonna fight, he goes like, I thought that you were more than just the shield.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's literally the first thing that they take, and that's what everybody thinks is like, oh yeah, you take away Captain America's shield, like, he can't do anything. It's like, no, he's still a super soldier. Like, he can still beat the shit out of you and cause bodily harm.
So, the shield's not exactly impressive.
No, it's not. Like, it's just a frisbee.
It's just a frisbee that, like, when he throws it, and, like, yeah, it's good to block bullets, but, like,
yeah,
you know,
he uses it as a weapon, but. Again,
guess who else can block bullets? Iron Man, but instead of having it just a shield, he has it over his entire body.
Right, and it's the same thing for Thor. He has a hammer. Yeah. So, but anyhow, yeah. So, just that whole sequence is awesome. The way that they set it up, and once he gets done beating the shit out of all of them, like, when him and Romulo are facing each other, and he just goes like, "Whoa there, big guy," and he goes like, "Listen, Cap, I just wanted to let you know this isn't anything personal." And so he knocks him out finally, and he just goes, "It kind of feels personal." And he still has the freaking thing on his wrist, like the handcuff, which is freaking awesome because, like, they've got, like, what, 3 different guys trying to push his arm up to where it's, like, magnetic. Up against, like, the beam, and he, like, breaks all of them off of him, and then Romulo kicks his arm and it flies back, and, like, now it's stuck. And, like, he's still beating the shit out of all of them, and then now he finally has room to breathe, and he takes all of his might to actually, like, force his arm off of there, and he does a backflip. But knocks out Romulo, and then, like, his shield is on the ground, and he, like,
kicks it up. Yeah,
kicks it up.
That's
like,
cool.
And then catches it. I'm like, oh my god,
It kind of feels personal.
shit goes so hard. But then he opens up the, or he starts it again, and then the doors open. And there's just a bunch of soldiers there standing there going like, "Freeze, Cap!" And he just
don't move.
Cuts the freaking line and just drops. And of course the brakes hit, and he opens up the door, and there's more guys coming, and so he, like, shuts it again, and then he's like, all right, and they're like, you got nowhere to go, Cap, and he goes like, fuck you, jumps out of the window, drops all the way down to the lobby, and, like, that's your thing too, right there. It's that's where he.
There you go. Like, but why didn't he do that when he just did get in the water? Like, here's what you do: attach the shield to your feet, right? When you're jumping out of the ship.
just attach to your feet. Yep, there you go. And then that way you don't fuck with anything. Jack, it doesn't matter because he lands in water anyway. He's stronger than the average person, don't you know?
All right,
he's smarter than the average bear.
I just don't want him to break his legs, you know?
He didn't break his legs, though.
I'm worried about him, you know?
You're worried about one of the world's strongest people on the planet. Okay. You're worried about
all you do is just like before you jump out of the Quinjet, you just like, all right, here I go. I'm gonna, like, step on my shield. I'm going to slide out of it like on like a surfboard. And you just, like, make it so that the bottom of his shoes are magnetic, so he has the shield attached to his feet, and then boom, all the shock absorbent is going through the vibranium, and boom, he's fine.
The thing that really makes it funny is the fact you're just like, I'm worried about it.
I'm worried about it.
Okay.
I just don't want him to get, I just don't want him to break his legs, you know?
Okay.
So he gets up from
he runs. So he gets out of the Shield headquarters, and then there's a Quinjet that tries to stop him. I love the fact that him by himself takes out the Quinjet. Okay, he's on his motorcycle. He stops the front brakes, throws it at the Quinjet, jumps on top of it, throws his shield at both engines, and then basically, like, takes it out. And then the way that he lands, he does a superhero landing. He, like, jumps off, front flips, and then lands. Yeah. And I'm like, that was also in the trailer. Like him taking out the Quinjet, landing, and then it just stopped. I'm like that goes so hard too.
The thing that gets me is like he jumps through the closing gate on a motorcycle. What did he jump off of? He just like bounced the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Like manages to just barely get through this closing gate. And like the Quinjet thing is really cool because like again you said that like he like ricochets the shield across the back engines and it's like
damages them and then he takes it out.
So he's able to throw the shield and it's able to damage the ship's engine just by him throwing it. It's like
Yeah, and again, it's kind of like in Civil War when Spider-Man says like, "Wow, that thing doesn't obey the laws of physics, does it?" And it's interesting because like he's pretty good about accurately throwing it to where it's going to bounce off of different things and people and stuff, and it comes right back to him. So that is also really interesting of how that they managed to actually do that.
He must play a lot of pool,
Apparently.
That's what I want to see. Like, I would have liked to see a scene of them like playing pool and like Captain America like plays it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like that would have
just like bing 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 bing. Okay,
cool
I got all of them.
Yeah.
After the initial snap. Poof.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did love when he goes undercover. Like that he no longer has like his outfit or anything. Like he has his undercover outfit, which is always hilarious thinking about this, where it's all like, oh, the undercover MCU hero line is just to get a freaking ball cap.
Yep, and then nobody recognizes
pull it down really low.
Yep.
It's kind of like the Clark Kent effect, where it's all like, oh, I don't realize that you're Superman because you're wearing a pair of glasses. Yeah. So once you take them off, oh my God, look, you're Superman. So,
Cap goes back to the hospital that Nick Fury was at.
Yeah, because he hid the flash drive in the vending machine.
Flash drive that him and Black Widow got from the ship in the beginning that the pirates were on.
Yeah.
And Nick gave it to him. Yeah. Because they contain...
Because he goes like, don't trust anybody.
Yeah. And so he hid it, and then he goes back because he hid it behind a couple packs of gum, and then Natasha appears behind him chewing the gum. Yeah. And it's like, oh, she has it then.
Yeah. And then he immediately does not trust her because Nick told him, don't trust anybody. And
which is crazy to me because, like, you literally helped defend New York with Black Widow. And
now that things are different, that kind of, pushes
I guess,
things.
But
I totally understand. It's kind of like the thing of being like, well, now you just retcon the character, like, altogether between... Like Avengers and now.
I guess they like Black Widow was still a little bit untrustworthy even after Avengers Endgame. Like,
she still is a spy. Up, like, she's still
there was a lot
doing
of stuff that were a little bit untrustworthy. But
the thing is that the reason why that he doesn't trust her, like for the most part, is because that like in the beginning of the movie when they're trying to take down trying to rescue the hostages, from the ship. Is the fact that like she had her own orders and he doesn't like that. Yeah. Because he even confronted Nick and he goes like, well, that just like is giving a bunch of people guns and like having them just shoot around the bad guys and nobody knows what's going on. So like not specifically what he said, but pretty much is what he said. He goes like, oh yeah, you give a bunch of people guns and they run around and you don't know what's going on.
It's not an army,
Yeah.
And it's like army follows orders and stuff like that. It's called compartmentalization, Steve.
Yeah.
It's like
they are going undercover, so then they both have like different outfits on, and then they go to the mall.
It's just a hoodie. They're just like two hoodies.
But I really loved his shoes though that he was wearing. Like when I watched this movie, I'm like, I really like his fucking shoes. Like they look fucking cool. But yeah, they go to the Mall of not the Mall of America, but they just go to the mall, and then they're like, okay, like we need to figure out like where we need to go next.
They go inside to push Apple the plot. Store to decrypt the information that's on the Shield hard drive.
Yep. And it's funny because like, when Steve goes like, how much time before they find us, and she goes like, about 9 minutes from now, and like inserts it in, and the guy that comes over and he just goes like, hey, like, do you guys need help finding anything or like helping out? And he goes, we're trying to find a honeymoon or destination for our honeymoon. And she goes like, oh, that's cool. Like, where are you guys thinking about going? And Cap looks at the computer and he goes like, New Jersey. He goes like, oh, that's cool. And he just goes like, wait a second. I have those exact same glasses.
Yeah.
And he goes, and so like just with Black Widow, she just goes like, oh wow, you guys are practically twins. And he goes like, yeah, I wish. And he just goes like, specimen. And I'm like, no, Chris Evans is a fucking specimen in this movie.
He is.
Like, God, he's fucking huge. And but they figure out where they need to go, and also the fact that when they're walking out and they realize that the agents are there now, and he goes like, all right, like if we get made, we have to break for it. And she goes like, no, I got a better idea. And so she goes like, put your arm around me,
laugh at something I said.
Laugh at something I said. And he goes like, what? She goes like, do it. And he does it, and so it's just like, and then he looks back, and I'm just like, oh my god,
it's a really weird laugh too.
Yeah, and he's like, and then just like looks back real quick. And he's like, did they see us?
And then they're going down the escalator.
No, they're going up the escalator. Romolo is going. No. You're right. Yeah, they're going down. Romolo is going up, and she goes like, she turns to him and goes like, public affection.
Public affection make people very uncomfortable. Kiss me.
Yeah, and so he goes like, yes, it does. So she goes like, so kiss me, and he goes like, what? And then they kiss. And it's because that Romolo's looking around and he just goes like, they're kissing. I'm going to stare at that.
It's like,
so
if you didn't know anything about these two characters, it's very mixed messages going on. It's like, wait, are they
together or
like,
they're not? Or
like you know, this time is like, no, they're not.
And especially when they're on their way to the boot camp that he was at, that he was training at.
Camp Lehigh.
I can hear my cat snoring in the other room. That is very loud. Where she goes like, can I ask you an honest question? And I feel like that if you don't answer, you're kind of answering it. And he goes like, what is it? And she goes like, was that your first kiss after 1945? He goes like, that bad, huh? And she goes like, needs work. And he goes like, you know, I've done stuff other than just being with you, right? Like, which, you know, well, I honestly don't think that he's actually been in a relationship or have had sex prior to this, because like literally, because like think of it this way, right? In the first Captain America, right, he doesn't get any dates or anything like that, right? Because he's a short kid, right? He's 5'4". Then when he becomes Captain America, he only has Peggy that like he has eyes for, right?
Yeah.
And then he becomes Captain America, so now he's 6'2", over 240 pounds. Well, he only kisses her once, and that's before he gets into the ship, like the flying airship for the Red Skull, and that's the only kiss that he's ever had after he thaws out, that we are aware of. So this could theoretically be his second kiss that he's ever had. Yeah. So.
Because, I mean...
But yeah, so they get to the boot camp and then they break in, and then they're like, well, where's it? Like, where is it? Like, there's no cell phone towers, there's no nothing. And
he's like,
he goes like, well, that shouldn't be here. Talking about like the bunker,
like an ammo munitions depot should be about 500 yards away from the barracks. This building shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So they break in.
Yeah, which is very strange because he would have known that in the beginning, because when they go in, it's the SHIELD headquarters before the actual like SHIELD helicarrier and stuff like that became a thing.
I think it was that place was built after the war.
That could possibly be.
It was probably built in like the 50s, given like to the architecture.
Because like even in
Endgame,
like, they're getting the Tesseract, and like that's where they go, because they go like, well, where would you hide the Tesseract in army base? He goes like, I know the exact place of where it would be.
Yeah, and that's where Tony and Steve go.
Yeah.
In Endgame. So.
Yeah. And
so it was probably established in the 50s.
Right. So, but yeah, then they're looking around trying to find stuff, and he finds a secret compartment
because there's a draft, he knows.
Yeah, and he goes like, why would you need to hide an elevator, like a secret elevator in a secret base? And so he pushes it open, goes down the elevator, and then go to a computer setup that's very, very old. And and I really wanted to talk about this too. Was like, now this is bringing the episodes full circle, because 2 weeks ago we talked about war games, and if you guys haven't seen that, go check that out. And like the computer asks like a question, and she goes like YES, and she goes like, spells yes. And so she like takes a second and goes like, shall we play a game? And then turns to him and goes like, it's from an old movie. He goes like, yeah, I've seen it.
Y-E-S spells yes. Shall we play a game? It's from a movie that was really popular.
I saw.
And it's like, that's a War Games reference. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I was talking in War Games, like, yeah, there was like one movie that like sort of referenced like this, but I forget what it was. And it was Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Like this
Well,
is
there's numerous different ones that
yeah, but
I
like
just can't think of. But this
the
one
that
is
I
like,
can think of off the top of my head.
yeah.
But like, yeah, this is my favorite scene in this whole movie when they start to boot up the computer and sure enough,
It's
like,
Artem Zola.
when they plug in the drive because it contains Zola's algorithm.
Yeah.
Right. And it's they put Artem Zola's brain onto 240,000 square foot of computers after he died because they still
Needed him.
Yeah.
And especially where he just goes like, yeah, you guys are standing in my brain. So, but yeah, and then he's just basically giving them all this information about like, well, what happened to you? And he goes like, well, this is basically what happened to me after the captain captured me. I went to work for Hydra because they hired me.
Shield recruited me, and then I slowly integrated Hydra into Shield, and it's been
that way
festering
for the
underneath
last
the surface.
80 years or something.
Like Shield has been corrupted by Shield is just Hydra now.
Yeah, pretty much. Because then he starts telling them about the Winter Soldier and stuff too.
Yeah.
And how the Winter Soldier is there just to rewrite history. So then
it's implied so like every time that there's been like an assassination,
like he was the reason behind it, and it's because Shield wanted
so
that done.
The implication is that the Winter Soldier killed like JFK and stuff like that, or
right.
like.
And then Natasha just goes like, "Hey, like we got a bogey on the way," and he goes like, "Yeah, I'm afraid I was stalling."
Yeah, I was stalling.
And the whole base blows up, and then they go and they try to find them. Like the agents try to find them too, and then they're on the run now because they're like, "Oh well, we know that they were here, but now they're gone. Like, what's going on?" And goes to Sam's
house. Yeah,
and he goes like, "Hey, I know this is inconvenient, but we need your help." And he goes like, "All right." And
like, everyone's trying to kill us. It's like, not everybody.
Yeah. And the fact that they're like both Natasha and Steve, that they're in the bedroom like talking to each other, was actually pretty sweet because she asks him like, "Oh, if the shoe was on the other foot and if I were to rescue you, would you have trusted me?" And he goes like, "I would now."
Yeah.
So and love the fact that Falcon just goes like, "Hey, they're telling him about like all this bunch of stuff that's going on," and so he goes like, "Hey, I want to help," and he goes like, "I can't ask you to do that," and he goes like, "No, here." And
Captain America needs my help. That's as good a reason to get back into the game because
he's retired and he's helping other people carry their guilt and their shame and all this bunch of stuff about.
He works in Veterans Affairs,
right? About the stuff that they carry back with them from war fighting and stuff like that. But Steve goes like, "Well, what's this?" And he goes like, "Oh, consider this my resume," and he gets his wings.
It's like I thought you were in pararescue. It's like, well,
like,
not quite. I thought you said you were a pilot. It's like I never
said a pilot.
It's like, you're in pararescue, right? Well, yeah.
Well, kind of.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, one of the head guys from Shield. I don't remember his name.
What is his name?
But
he was in Avengers actually.
Yeah.
We see him in Avengers.
Well, he was in Endgame.
No, but like I'm talking about the very first Avengers movie. He was on the Helicarrier.
I'm trying to think back, but I don't really know. Let me see here. Jasper Sitwell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Agent Sitwell.
He was in the bridge in Endgame. Oh, no, sorry, in the first Avengers.
Avengers, yeah.
So like that was the first time we ever see him.
Wow.
So
yeah, I don't remember that
the whole time. But so like, Sitwell is walking out with the senator from Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Which is so funny.
Yeah, and the fact that they're like the senator's talking to him about like banging some like 20-year-old.
He's talking about like I gotta go deal with a constituency problem. She's like hot 23, kind of hot.
Yeah, And
that's just gross.
Yeah, and then he just goes like,
he whispers in his ear like,
Hell Hydra. Yeah, because he goes like, oh, I like your pen. And then he goes like, come here, give me a hug. And he goes like, Hell Hydra.
Wow, that's a nice pen. Thank you. Come here.
Sitwell gets a call from Pierce, or who he thinks is Pierce, and then it's just Sam calling him.
And he goes like, hey, like, you got the handsome guy in the shades at your 10 o'clock. And he goes like, and he's looking around. He goes like, your other 10 o'clock. Yeah. And he just goes like, there you go. And brings up his drink. He goes like, hey, we're going to go for a ride. Go around the corner. Go a couple doors down. And you're going to get into a car.
It's like, why should I
And
listen
then
to you?
he gets pushed through the door on a roof. And the fact that Steve is also trying to intimidate him, he knows. And he goes like, it's not your style.
That's not going to work.
He goes like, you're right. And then so he like
puts him down.
Puts him down, and he just goes like,
it's hers.
But it's hers. And so she immediately kicks him off
the building.
And then,
Because it's really not just style, Rogers. You're right. It's not. It's hers.
and then they start talking about again picking him up a girlfriend or a date, and she just goes like, well, what about that girl? And he goes like, oh yeah, like blah 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 blah. Starts describing
again,
her.
you send in mixed messages, Natasha.
Yeah, and then we have Sam that has his wings.
Yeah.
Finally, so then he becomes the Falcon. And they're like, well, what's Project Insight? And they're like, well, it's basically anybody that is a threat that they will go off of your past to protect your future, essentially.
It's like they like he basically tells them what Zola's algorithm does.
Yeah.
Zola explains that he wrote an algorithm for Project Insight.
Mm-hmm.
And Zola algorithm just is basically like target selection.
Yeah.
And that Project Insight is just like massive like extermination, massive assassination
and
of like anybody from like orbital strike.
Right.
Basically.
And this is also our first reference to Doctor Strange, because he goes like Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, like anybody that is supposed to be a threat.
And I like at this point, like Stephen Strange is still just like a neurosurgeon at this point.
Like, and especially where it's like an Endgame where the Hulk goes to the Ancient One and he just goes like, oh, I thought I was meeting Stephen Strange. And so she goes like, well, about 5 years too early.
Yeah.
And she goes like, he's doing surgery about like 3 blocks that way.
Yeah.
And it's just like, fuck. Like, you often forget like what other people are doing in that time frame of all this shit happening
before they become like superheroes, basically.
Right. Like Stephen Strange is still a surgeon at this point who's doing surgery now. Like, damn. And but yeah, I wrote that down like the first mention of Doctor Strange. But then after this, another really big thing that I love about this movie is the first time that Cap and Bucky fight.
Yeah.
Like that they go head to head because they're on their way
to Shield, because they still have Sitwell.
Yeah.
And they're driving on the bridge, and
then all of a sudden the Winter Soldier rips the door off, or no, he grabs Sitwell, throws him out the window onto oncoming traffic and hits a truck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And then especially where I've seen like clips of like funny meme moments that happen in these movies where he then grabs the steering wheel and rips it out of the console, and then Sam just goes like, oh shit, like looks up.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious now with that frame in mind. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, now what are we gonna do? And then Steve goes like, hold on. So he busts out with the 3 of them out of the car with the door and the shield. Like that they're sliding and stuff.
And then like they slide around, and like Anthony Mackie is just like rolling.
Yeah, he's like rolling. Hurt. Yeah, it's gotta hurt your elbows and knees, like oof. But then they've got a team that's gonna take them all out.
Yeah.
And so Natasha is trying to get to the Winter Soldier, and he's trying to get her. But the fact that these guys jump down from the freeway, and then one guy has a turret, a minigun, and like literally he has this whole backpack that he's holding on to, that like basically he's able to hold it.
It's holding all the ammo. So like,
yeah. And
you can hear like the sound effect is like the whirring up from like
but,
how does Cap not get like torn up?
Right.
You know?
Well, like the thing is too is like before that, like he gets thrown off and he gets thrown through a bus.
Yeah.
And
like damn.
Like that's crazy. And he gets up and
he's just fine.
And he gets the shield and then you just hear the machine gun ammo just hitting off the and then he's able to actually like move his shield to where it like takes out a couple of guys.
He redirects the fire, like he ricochets it like, off to kill some guys.
And then like at first he's like not having his footing, and then he like gets up to where he's like actually starting to run at the machine gunner.
Like the amount of force that like that like the bullets knock you back.
Oh yeah,
you know? So like
100%.
that amount of fire that like is all going at like one point, and for him to be able to like do that, he kind of like does this like real like throw maneuver to like take him out. Like that's
it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then finally, because like Bucky's trying to take out Natasha, and finally Cap finally comes up and just like starts going ham on him. And well as at the same time, so is Bucky. So like they're both they're fighting each other,
blow for blow.
Yeah. And then like he eventually has his knife out, and then they have like the knife hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah,
that is such a cool sequence of hand-to-hand combat that I've ever seen in any movie besides like the John Wick movies, but that's besides the point.
It's so back and forth.
Yeah, and like also the fact that you have the music that is also like swelling up, like all you hear is just like them fighting each other and just like the whooshing of their missing and like all that bunch of stuff, and just like emphasizing like oh fuck, like the music is swelling upwards, and then once Cap finally like throws him and takes his mask off at the same time, the music just stops.
Yeah.
It just cuts, and then Bucky gets up, looks at Steve, and he just goes like, Bucky? And he goes like, who the hell is Bucky?
Bucky? Who the hell is Bucky?
And that happens in the comic as well.
Yeah.
Of them fighting, and like he takes off his mask and he turns around and just goes like, Bucky? And he goes like, who the hell is Bucky? And like goes to like shoot at him and stuff. So like that was really cool. And then they are being arrested, and especially where Romulo is telling his like basically right hand guy going like, not here, we're not shooting him here.
Oh yeah.
So because there's a helicopter with the news station and stuff like that, so they're about to like drive them off onto a secluded area to basically dump their bodies and kill them. And Maria Hill shows up in the truck that they're like being like in. And so especially where like because Natasha gets shot in the shoulder.
Yeah, she's like bleeding out.
And so Sam turns to one of them and goes like, hey, like we need to get her to a medic because like she's gonna bleed out otherwise. And so she just like takes out her electric stick and then just like electrocutes the guy. And so they're just like, what the hell? And then she takes off the helmet and goes like, oh man, the thing was squeezing my brain. And she goes like, who's this guy? Like she doesn't even know who he is. And they actually managed to like leave.
They escaped the same way that Nick Fury did. Like,
yeah, going through the floor grate.
Like really?
And then that's it. And then they are
strongest laser tool ever.
Yeah, and
through like several inches of concrete. Into like, oh my god.
Anyway. And the only reason why that I'm mentioning all of this is because that once Sam and like once they realize like who the Winter Soldier is, because Nick Fury's still alive, they just like played it off. Also the Joe Russo cameo, because like whenever they're in these movies, like they make these movies, like there's always a cameo for them. So I don't know if it's for both of the brothers, but I know it's for Joe Russo. Like he's the medic where he's overseeing Nick Fury.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's Joe Russo. And they're like, hey, like she's been shot in the shoulder, and he goes like, all right, like bring her through, like I'll work
see
on
him
it
first.
Yeah, and all that bunch of stuff. So yeah, that's Joe Russo. He was also one of the guys in Endgame when Cap is doing a recovery program.
Oh.
And he goes like, yeah, like I lost my husband and all this much stuff and blah 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 and whatever, or whatever the fact is. I don't know. It's something about that, but yeah, he's in that one as well.
Okay.
But after that, like they know who the Winter Soldier is. It's actually Bucky and whatever. And then where Sam tells Cap he's not the type of person that you do something with. Like he's the type of person that you stop.
Yeah.
And basically, like he's not the type of person that you save. He's the type of person that you stop.
Because this is after Steve has a flashback of him, like, presumably after the aftermath of his mother's funeral.
Yeah. Because he just goes like, yeah,
it was fine. She
yeah,
was buried next to Dad.
Yeah.
So you can stay on my place, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm with you to the end of the line, Steve.
I'm with you to the end of the line, pal. And but yeah, so he just goes like, no, we're gonna save him.
Yeah.
And he goes like, well, where, like, you're not, like, are you gonna wear that? And he goes like, no, if you're gonna fight a war, you're gonna have to have a uniform. And he goes to the Smithsonian and steals his old suit. And love the Stanley cameo.
Yeah.
So he's the security guard, and he just goes like, oh man, I'm so fired.
Oh, man. I am so fired.
And cutting way forward after all of this when they're on the helicarriers and stuff, because now they have to, essentially, there's 3 helicarriers, and they're all going to, basically, once they get up to 3,000 feet, they're just going to let loose and just, like, rain fire. And they have to get on all 3 of the helicarriers, take out one of the cards, install another one that's theirs, and then they take control of that instead of the Hydra agents.
And all 3 have to be
like linked. They can't just miss one. They have to make all of them.
Which will make sense later. But.
Yeah. And both Cap and Steve, they're running on the helicarrier on one of them, and he goes like, hey, how do we know which one's the bad guys? And he goes like, the ones that are shooting at you.
Yeah, if they're shooting at you, they're probably a bad guy.
Yep. So there's that, and then also like they're trying to get all the chips in and whatever, but like the fact that Bucky shows up again and just takes out everybody that's on that helicarrier, like boom, 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 like a sequence of just going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And like he takes out one guy that's about to throw a grenade, and he drops it, picks it up, throws it into Quinjet when it's about, like, the door's about to close. And I'm like, dude, the timing on this is perfect.
Yeah.
And he takes out all these guys, and then he just like gets on a Quinjet and just like goes after Steve again. But then, speaking of, going to Cap versus Bucky round 3, where they are now on the helicarrier.
On the third one.
Yeah.
The third one that Steve still has to link.
Yep. And they're fighting each other and stuff. So, like, I thought that was actually really cool, too. But then another thing that I really liked was, like, Sam versus Romolo. Mm-hmm. So, because Romolo is just, like, being told like, hey, like, got somebody, or got Natasha up on the like whatever, up on the building, the very tippy top of the building.
Yeah.
And he goes like, all right, I'm on my way
to take out Pierce, because
the
whole plan is that when they're taking down these helicarriers, they're also going to take down S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
because
which would also take out Hydra.
Corrupted, and
Nick
Fury's like, oh, I don't want to do that. He was like, well, this should still be. No, he's like, no, it all goes.
Yeah, goes like everything.
Yeah,
and
so Maria
looks at him and goes like, no, he's right. Like everything has to leave.
The plan was for Natasha to infiltrate the council who are meeting Alexander Pierce to discuss the launch of Project Insight. Yeah, she disguised herself as one of them. And then she basically holds him at gunpoint and is like, I'm going to dump all of the
files and whatever.
I'm going to put them on the internet.
Yeah. And
I'm Edward Snowden in this bitch.
Yep. And he goes like, that also means that your stuff is also going to be released. She goes like, that's fine.
I don't care.
That's fine.
What's cool is like, you need an alpha level clearance for to be able to access those files. And like,
no, you need 2 alpha level clearances.
Yeah, you need 2 alpha levels.
And he's only one of them. And the other one is Fury. And she goes like, well, it's a good thing I got a friend coming by now, don't I? And then Fury comes in, and I'm like, dude, the way that he like just walks in and he goes like, yeah, that's right, bitch, I'm fucking still alive.
Yeah.
And the fact that he just goes like, yeah, to steal a line from you, like, you have to keep both eyes open.
And he removes his eye patch.
Yeah, I'm like, that line goes
he's
hard.
got
You need to keep both eyes open.
2 different, like, retinal scans.
Yeah. And he goes like, yeah, I know that you took out all my passwords and my retinal scan, but there's one thing that you didn't account for. You have to keep both eyes open.
Yeah.
And shows him like his fucked up eye. But I think it's also funny that like earlier on in the movie when Steve confronts Nick in his office, where he just goes like, the last time that I trusted somebody, I lost an eye. And especially where we know now in Captain Marvel, it's because that he trusted Goose as a cat and scratched his eye, and that's the reason why that he no longer has his eye. So
like that, like that was a joke the whole time, Nick.
Right?
Like, really?
Last time I trusted somebody, being a fucking like alien cat.
Yeah.
That's when I lost my trust with somebody. It's like a fucking cat, really.
Yeah,
it's like, but I understand. But yeah, and then we have like Sam versus Romolo, which is awesome. And the fact that he just goes like, oh yeah, like, you're in a world of pain, buddy. Like, Hydra doesn't give up and blah blah blah. And he goes like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Like, he goes like, you need to shut up.
That was kind of lame though. Like, you have a better comeback than that, and just like
I mean, like, Romolo just keeps fucking talking and talking.
I know,
but
like, that's such a lame comeback. Like
he just goes like, oh, shut up.
And these Marvel movies are like supposed to be like really quippy.
Yeah.
I would have expected something a little bit more clever than just like shut up.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. It's like, shut up. No.
Shut the hell up. You know, like
yeah. And then they go to fight. And especially
and
where
Romolo's beating his ass because Sam's just a guy.
Yeah, he's just a guy. So is Romolo.
I don't know. Romolo's like a bit of a more like specially trained guy.
Well, yeah,
he's like a strike team
more
guy.
trained than like special forces and stuff.
Like Sam Wilson's just like a pararescue like.
Well,
like
yeah,
soldier,
he was trained in
like,
army though. So,
yeah,
but like the same thing is like, you know, you get trained in like hand to hand combat, but it's mostly
I don't know.
for like
I feel like Romolo's
a different
more
way.
like a mercenary.
Well, yeah, he
like
is
mercenary like training than
yeah.
like the like, and then it's like I can do that. Like what does Romolo say before the helicarrier like crashes into the building? It's like
I don't remember.
I don't remember, but like he's talking like, and Sam's like looking at the helicarrier and like
he starts running. He goes like, oh shit, and
yeah.
he starts running. He gets like fucking gets crushed. But yeah, then like Pierce gets shot because of Nick. Because like Pierce, when they attach these pins onto their chests, like they're armed bombs, essentially. They're like small explosive device. And with that, Natasha has one on her chest.
Yeah.
And he goes like, yeah, I was armed as soon as you pinned it.
Yeah.
And she electrocutes herself. Because he goes like, oh, I'm going to get away because I'm going to take Natasha with me and I'm just going to kill her. And she electrocutes herself with one of her like electrical devices.
Yeah.
And she like knocks herself out, and that diffuses the bomb for like a split second. And right before he's about to push it, Nick shoots him. And even till his dying breath, he says, Hell Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
I'm like, get fucked, dude.
Yeah.
No wonder why you fucking died. But yeah, and then what you said with Romolo and Sam when the helicarrier is like finally like crashing down.
Yeah.
That Sam is running, and then like Maria goes
please
like,
tell me that chopper's in the air.
Yeah, and Natasha
like,
goes like, yeah, like where are you? And he goes like, 41st floor. And she goes like, okay, like hold your position. He goes like, not an option, and jumps out of the window, and then it's like what, the 37th floor or 36th floor? Because like I think that somebody, I think that if I remember correctly, somebody literally went like, yeah, they're not on the 41st floor, they're like on the 32nd, or not the 32nd, like the 37th and 36th floor.
No, it's like. First the helicopter like goes to the side, and then they catch him.
Well, yeah, they catch him, and
like
then he almost falls
41st
out.
Floor.
Yeah, and he goes like, it's not like
it's Nick Fury that said that. It's like they're not exactly they have the floor numbers on the side of the building.
Yeah.
41st floor, 41st. Not like they put the floor numbers on the outside of the building.
Yeah. But yeah, by the end of it, everything is done. Like the helicarriers are now done. Steve and Bucky, they're done fighting because they have a hard, like, he basically gets tired of fighting Bucky, and he just goes like, I'm not
Bucky
fighting you
gets
anymore.
Trapped underneath some debris.
Well, yeah, and then he lifts him up. Well, he lifts up the beam, and then like Bucky is going to fight him again, and he goes like, no, you don't.
No, I don't.
Yeah, and then
James Buchanan Barnes is like, shut up.
Yeah, and just start beating the shit out of him, and then Steve just goes like, I'm not fighting you, Buck, and he drops his shield. I'm like, how many times is he going to lose his fucking shield in these movies? Like, honestly, like the first time, okay, sure, he has it with him when he's frozen. That's
it's
fine.
not like it's Mjolnir that can just come back to
the
his
second
hand,
one is like, it fell into a lake. How are you going to fucking
that's
find it?
That's not even the lake. That's the Potomac River.
Right.
That's
like,
a river.
Yeah, it's like, how
You're
are you
not
going to
getting that
find it?
back.
No, it's like, how are you going to find it? And it's not like that you can go and find fucking more vibranium because Black Panther isn't a thing
there's
yet.
probably a way for them to be able to like search for traces of vibranium, you know, like
maybe. I don't know.
Like look up a scanner that like looks for vibranium source, and they could probably find the shield that way. That's probably how they do it.
Maybe.
Whenever he loses it, but
yeah, but
like Steve falls in the river because
then Bucky keeps punching the shit out of his face, and he just goes like, "You are my mission," and he goes like, "I'm with you till the end of the line," and then he goes like, "What? How dare you say that?"
You're my mission.
Finish it, because I'm with you to the end of the line.
And like then Steve falls out,
he falls
and then Bucky saves him by pulling him out of the
just
river.
leaves him on the banks of the Potomac and just walks away.
And then everything is closing up shop because then Steve wakes up in the hospital. Sam is on his right, and he just goes like, "Hey, on your left."
On your left.
And
like,
then
and then he's playing Marvin
this,
Gaye.
Yeah, and then all this bunch of stuff happens. So like we get Agent 13, where she's training to be in the CIA.
CIA because Shield's no longer a thing.
Yeah, and then Maria Hill is interviewing for Stark Industries, which will be set up for Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And then we get Senator. The Senator gets arrested.
Yeah.
Because he's a Hydra agent. And
Nick
also
Fury burns a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, he burns his past, and then at the same time, Natasha is talking to representatives of the government, and so she just goes like, "Well, you're not gonna arrest me, so fuck you. So I'm walking out of here."
Yeah.
And
even if you arrest
she
me,
leaves.
you'll know where I am.
Yeah,
so you're gonna need us.
Yeah, and so she goes like, "Yep, I'm leaving. Go fuck yourself." And also when Sam and Steve, they're at Nick Fury's gravestone, he goes like, "So, does this stuff happen to you a lot?" And he goes like, kind of get used to it. And especially on his gravestone, it says "the path of the righteous man." And I'm like, hey, that's a subtle nod to Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's cool.
I didn't know that. That's again another fun bit of trivia.
Yeah. But yeah, and then that is the end of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, because the last thing that they leave off with is that Nick Fury gives him a file of the Winter Soldier, and Sam goes like,
Nick Fury is like, if anyone needs me, tell them I'm right here. Yeah.
And so Natasha gives him the file.
Yeah.
Of the Winter Soldier,
like,
and he goes like,
yeah.
And so she goes like, don't pull on that thread, and because he's going to realize all the bad shit that he's done when he was brainwashed. Civil War. Yeah, because then Sam goes like, we're going after him, aren't we? And he goes like, yeah. He goes like, all right, when do we leave? Or like, when do we start? Or something like that. And then it just cuts. But yeah, and then we get the two after credit scenes. Of course, got the setting up the twins for Age of Ultron. And then the last one is just like Bucky goes to the Smithsonian, and then that's when he figures out who he actually is as Bucky. And then that is the end of Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So, with that being said, here is the point of the show where we will actually have an open up discussion about this being a rent, buy, or skip, which is the reason why this is called RBS in the first place. So, like I always ask, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
It's a rent.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
it's a rent. Second time in a row.
It's very rare that a Marvel movie is a buy for me. You know, an MCU, because like,
I understand.
Marvel movies are so accessible now.
Well, yeah.
Like
you can just stream them on Disney Plus. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just like so. It's always going to be a rent for me. Like I'll never use like I think the only ones that like I've really bought are like the like the Spider-Man MCU films.
Yeah.
Because I never really,
So, like,
I
Homecoming,
never thought they would
Far
be
From
on.
Home and No Way Home.
That was back when like the whole thing with Sony was kind of like muddied. So I was like, those are probably never going to be on like a streaming service. They're probably very hard to find.
Right.
We're just gonna buy them. But like with the mainline MCU films, they're just on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So like I'll watch it. But like this movie is really good. It's definitely one of maybe nostalgic for the earlier phases of the MCU. I still think the first phase of MCU is always going to be my favorite because it's like establishing stuff.
Yeah, it sets
like,
stuff up, and then it's just like, oh, cool. Before it gets all too convoluted and everything.
You can watch any of the movies in the phase 1 in any order because it's like it's their origin films. Like I've been like jumping around between like phase 1 and phase 2 like to prepare for this movie.
Yeah.
Like not because I had to, because I kind of wanted to. Just like, oh, I just want to watch some of these old ones. Like because I watched Iron Man 1 and 2. I watched like Captain America 1 to prepare for this one. I watched Thor Ragnarok again just to like see how that one kind of.
I saw you watching that during break yesterday.
I was just like I was kind of cool. I need to go back and watch Iron Man 3 again. I watched the Avengers film. It was like I haven't watched Thor yet because I kind of like already kind of know what happens in Thor.
Yeah.
So
if you are planning on rewatching the MCU from the beginning,
I'm not going to watch the whole film.
Well, not the whole like discography or anything like that, but like would you ever consider on watching them in chronological order instead of release order?
I've always been fascinated of watching these movies in chronological order.
Same.
So.
I've watched them back to back, like from the beginning to a certain point, like in release order. And that's how I have my steelbooks up, which you guys can't see. I have them over here up against the wall, but I have them all in release order and not like in chronological order. But that's just because like I like having them in release order instead of chronological order. So, but I do have on my Vudu account, well, Fandango account, whatever, my digital library. I have 2 different files for it. For one is just the MCU, and then the other one is just like in release order, and then the other one is like in chronological order.
Yeah.
So, because my sister asked me like, do you have them in chronological order? I said no, but I can put it in a list though. So,
like going back to my rating though, like I would say out of most films, this like the Captain America films are the most accessible to non like Marvel fans.
Oh yeah,
you can watch Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and it's very grounded and rooted in realism.
Yeah,
to where it's not going over your head, and also because it is so early in the MCU phases that you're not required to watch 3 movies and a whole series to be able to understand like a lot of what's going on in the plot.
Yeah, so, I was also going to mention that like you don't need to necessarily watch the first Avenger or even like the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So to get the whole thing of this,
like so, you can watch this movie kind of by itself and still get it like sort of like understand what's going on because a lot of the characters are established. They mention who they are, and it doesn't refer to a lot of events in the past, except for maybe the first film, which you get a flashback of, so it's fine.
Yeah, and it's the same thing for Peggy. It's all like when he goes to the Smithsonian Museum and they have the exhibit of him.
Yeah, they show her what she used to look like and then what she looks like now. So it's good. Why don't MCU films do this more? Why is
it's because
like watching an MCU film in present day is akin to having to do homework before you go and watch a movie.
Right. And again, I've mentioned this before where it's all like, oh yeah, you have these characters that are associated with like the TV show, for instance. Then you introduce them into a team up movie to where nobody knows who the fuck that they are because they never watched the show. And so it's all like, who are you? Oh, I'm this person. Like, take a 2-minute explanation of the character. So,
or something like that, or just like in the beginning before the movie happens, right?
Well,
even in the theater, do a quick recap of everything that's happened.
Right. Well, I mean, like it's kind of like in Thunderbolts when they all meet each other for the first time.
Yeah.
And like they're like, well, like you're Chris Walker, like you're a reject Captain America, and it's just
you're
like
the U.S. agent. Yes.
Yeah, like. All that bunch of stuff. So like they have that huge 5-minute discussion of who they are.
Just explain for the people who didn't take care to do a bunch of research before they went to watch this film. Yeah. So anyway, rant over. This is a rent just because it's not my favorite MCU film.
Yeah.
I still think Iron Man's my favorite, the very first one.
Oh yeah, that's definitely in my top 5 as well.
It's so good. It's still good, and I would recommend it to people who, again, want to revisit the good old days of Marvel films or of superhero films.
Right.
I wouldn't buy it though. I would rent it because it is just so accessible now to watch on like Disney Plus. So.
Yeah, I get that. Well, of course, for me, it is definitely a buy.
Fuck yeah!
Because I used to have it on DVD, Blu-ray, and then I got rid of all of my DVD and Blu-rays because I just like got the steelbooks. So I pretty much would say that I double dipped. So because like I bought them originally when they first came out, and now I own them all on steelbook. So yeah, pretty much like a good chunk of them I double dipped on rebuying them just so that way I can complete my MCU steelbook collection. So but yeah, for me, the reason why that it's a buy is because that, like, you know, it stands alone by itself. Like, you don't need to watch the other ones. It is a really good Captain America story, even for the comics as well. Just the fact that it's also kind of like a spy thriller action movie, it makes it really good. A lot of
secrets, a lot of cover-ups.
Yeah, and also the fact that you get a lot more character development for Steve and Natasha on top of that. Yeah. And we also get to have Bucky back as a bad guy. So that was also really interesting. And just the twists and turns, like, oh my God, like, you know, Nick Fury's telling Chris Evans, tell Steve not to trust anybody. Okay, well, why is he telling them this? Well, we'll get to that here pretty soon. But yeah, and then also like the fact that you get S.H.I.E.L.D. that is now Hydra, or being controlled by Hydra behind the scenes, and then it's like, well, what does this mean now? So, like, going forward,
how Hydra means absolutely nothing anymore after this film,
right? So, but yeah, like, just for those reasons alone, like, just the action sequences, the hand-to-hand combat is a lot more better than the other
movies. Fight choreography is definitely a plus in this film.
Yes, it is definitely an A+.
It is an action-y, like, guys beating each other up, guys like shooting at each other, like explosions, like action film, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of just like a sort of like a quippy comedy with like bits of CGI action into it. Like this is a gritty action film.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it though. Last thing, and then we'll pretty much like cut it out, is suggested people.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to do a 1-star review. So
yeah, that's fair. Like
there's not that many, but
like the film,
yeah,
so.
I mean, like, it's not a bad movie. Like, just because you say that's not a buy doesn't mean that's not a good movie.
Oh no, I still think it's a good movie. I just wouldn't buy it.
Right. So like, but yeah, I was reading a couple of them, but this is the one, or maybe it was this one. Yeah, it was this one that I talked to my wife about. But
move my thing over here just so I can look at the screen.
Yeah. So this one, I don't know. There's two of them.
I see the first sentence.
Yeah, there's two of them that like they pretty much go hand in hand, but I feel like that this one is just a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
They said awful, no attempt at any continuity, full story, 2.5 hours of disconnected fights. Bad guys can't shoot. We know. Terrible film, basic plot, and the pointless fight scene after pointless fight scene. Bad guys can't shoot. We know that by now. So bored with a film with no attempt at continuity. People just turn up and find things right away and know how to operate computers. Helicopters, blah, blah. So boring. Bored. Even reviewing this garbage. Made $1 billion? No hope for humanity if this is what passes for a movie. Whoa. Did the actors really get paid? So many holes. So many bullets. So little effort to come up with a new plot that hadn't been done so many times before. Nothing at all new with this junk. Goodbye. And this is also...
They misspelled goodbye, by the way.
Yeah, and this was also uploaded in 2024.
That is AI. This is an AI review.
That's what it seems like.
It has to be.
Well, do you also want to talk about this one too? Because like that one, you don't really have anything to go off.
This one actually looks,
somewhat,
little bit.
So we'll do this one real quick. So the worst movie from Marvel: boring, bad script, not smart plot, flat characters. How can you be more wrong than this person right here?
I bet this guy is looking back at this like, maybe this wasn't so bad. We're looking at the most recent phases of the MCU.
Right. I guess this one isn't that
2019
bad compared to the Marvels or Eternals.
What was in 2019? Was that Endgame? Has Endgame been out for like 6 years?
I think so. Maybe Infinity War.
Because it might have been Infinity War because Endgame wasn't during COVID, right?
No.
No?
Black Widow was out during COVID. After that, it was also Spider-Man. They had 3 movies that came out later that year. It was Infinity War, Endgame, and then Spider-Man.
So this must have just came out when like Infinity War and Endgame were like really, really big. So.
Yeah. They said Thor Ragnarok is on my top 3 of best movies of Marvel because it was epic, smart, fascinating, mystique, magical, esoteric, surprising, funny, even horrific. Wow. And then in parentheses, hella scared me a little bit. What are you, 5?
Yeah.
And that's cinema.
See,
that's cinema.
See, I just wanted to step on me.
A visual travel that can cause you emotions, but this film is totally the opposite. Not epic, plot we've seen millions of times in other movies, boring, nothing magical or mystical, totally predictable. I fell asleep. They said I felt sleep. I fell asleep 2 times during the end of watching it, but it was a torture. I'm used to complex plots, smart scripts, fascinating dialogues, philosophical characters. This film didn't have any of this. The rank in this film is so unfair. This definitely can't surpass a 4. The acting and producing is legit, but the movie itself is just so bad. I can't believe it. More than 1. Sorry. I'm a Marvel fan anyway.
Smiley face.
So, and this was made back in 2019. Yeah.
This is a rage bait.
Completely wrong on all fucking levels because of the fact that, like, I can get, like Thor Ragnarok is better than Captain America Winter Soldier. I can respect that, right? But how are you going to say that movie is objectively better for the script, the fucking, like, the characters and all this bunch of stuff? Like, no. It's a corny movie. This is a more serious movie.
This is a very serious movie.
Sure, you can say that, we've seen this movie a million times in other movies. It's like, sure, but you don't have Captain America in those movies now, do you? No.
Not every Marvel movie has to be a quippy, like
walk
comedy,
much? Yeah, it's all like, somebody trips. Oh, walk much? And then the whole theater laughs. And it's like, oh, that's funny. Oh my god, I can't believe you said that. It doesn't have to be like that.
You could pin like a lot of how quippy Marvel has become to like Joss Whedon's style of writing in the Avengers itself. Just like that. That's, again, we could talk about that for hours.
Right.
Wheel time.
So yes, wheel time. So, like I mentioned at the beginning part of the show, we will spin a wheel, so that way we will know what we're talking about for next week's summer blockbuster. And we will go ahead and spin the wheel and see what we get for next week.
What do we get?
Let's see if it's Chapter 3 of John Wick. Oh my god, and it is another close call with John Wick. So next week's episode is going to be Face Off, which was your suggestion.
Yes, it was.
So,
I'm excited. I haven't seen Face Off yet.
Which is hilarious that
another week in a row where John Wick 3 barely loses out to something else.
By a pube again. Like, that to me is hilarious, that by a pube... Oh, wait, hold on. I need to stop the recording. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, by a pube, it weasels its way out. But eventually we will talk about John Wick Chapter 3.
What if it's like the last one? What if we just get super unlucky and it's like it's the last movie we talk about? And
I think that would be hilarious. Going through the summer movie blockbusters, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, you don't get to talk about John Wick Chapter 3 until like the end of August.
The end of August, yeah.
So, but with that being said, like I mentioned at the beginning part of the show, thank you all so much for tuning in, watching, whether that's on your commute to work or you are at work. Chilling out at home, working out, whatever. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Again, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. You guys can also find us on Spotify and on YouTube. And be sure to leave a comment about a movie that you guys want us to talk about. And be sure to share this around with other people that like movies, or like people talk about movies and, all that fun stuff. So
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
But yes, next week we're going to be talking about Face Off with I was going to say Keanu Reeves for some reason. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, which has been years since I've seen this. I actually bought it on digital not too long ago.
Never seen it.
So it is pretty good.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see it.
But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.